Now, the title of this for this study day is Identifying Trade Tools. Tools are functional. If it doesn't do anything, it probably ain't a tool. So that is the first rule. You need to look at it very carefully. If it's big and clunky, it's probably intended for heavy work, like this sledgehammer. If it's light and delicate, it was probably used for light and delicate work. This is probably a clockmaker's or a jeweler's hammer, and you can see that it's very small and very delicate. Then you need to look at the action of the tool. If it saws, it's for hard material. Wood, ivory, sheet metal. And the finer the teeth, the harder the material. Here we have a keyhole saw, which is for sawing wood, so you can see it's got quite big teeth. This has very fine teeth. This is a Lancashire pattern hacksaw, which is intended purely for working with metal. Most tools are manual. There are other tools too. There's optical tools. These are a group of thread counters. They define an area in which you then count the threads so that you know how many threads per inch that bit of cloth has. If it stamps something out, it will be for thin sheet material. Now these are all leatherworking tools. These ones are called saddler's prickers, and they're actually for cutting out decorative edges. Look at what a tool does. Does it cut something? And you can tell if it cuts something, it has a really sharp edge. That's a gouge, which obviously cuts something that is curved. It also has a flat end to the handle, so a flat end to the handle probably means it might well be tapped with a mallet. Does it hold something? This is a vice. So it doesn't actually do anything, but it holds something so that you can do something with it. Does it bend something? This is obviously bends wire. It's a jeweler's round-nosed pliers. Check what material the tool is made from. A pair of scissors made of silver is probably more likely to be for cutting grapes than for fabric. If it's a highly carved, ornamental mallet and chisel, well, the chances are that it wasn't meant for hard work. In fact, this is a keel laying kit. The keel is such an important part of a ship. They would actually celebrate laying the keel, and they would make a few ceremonial taps with the mallet and chisel. Look at the decoration on a tool. A superficially decorated tool like these sugar nips is more likely to be for domestic use or personal use than for trade use. These are a pair of upholsterer's pliers, and you can see they're pretty plain. And again, they were for stretching the fabric or for the straps when you were upholstering a piece of furniture. That rule is only true for Britain and America. European tools tend to be much more decorated than ours, and a lot of even trade tools in Europe will be decorated. Who carried out the various trades? Now, some trades were carried out almost exclusively by men, some only by women. If a tool is big and clunky, it's heavy, like these are 3 adjustable wrenches, it was likely to be used by a man. Some materials can date a tool for you. Stainless steel was not invented until the 20th century. So if it says stainless steel, it's post-1900. Registered designs were only introduced in 1842, so you know if it says registered design, it's post-1842. And they will usually say RD or Reg Des. Obviously, if you've got a registered design, you can look it up and you know what your tool is. And the same is true of patents. If you have a patent number, obviously, you know what your tool is. Sources of information, obviously books, and even these little Shah books to pick lots of tools, and there's a huge range of Shah books. trade catalogues. Trade catalogues are wonderful. They have lots of pictures with lots of names, usually arranged in trades. They tell you so much. Working out what a tool is fun. It's a puzzle, but it's a fun puzzle. Finding out how a tool was used, by whom, for what trade, and how the people who used it lived and worked is fascinating and never fails to intrigue all of us. That's why we're here.
Probably tell you what it is. It's a rope gauge, isn't it?
It is a rope gauge, but what did you use a rope gauge for?
So is it cranes?
No. There is something very significant about rope. And the type of rope is actually insignificant.
I mean, it says 3-strand weight per 120 fathom coil. Does that give you how much it weighs and how much it costs to produce, or the cost to produce?
Not to produce.
To buy? Yes.
Yes. When you buy rope, you buy it by the weight.
Right.
Because obviously, if you're going to have several fathoms of rope,
yes,
you're not going to measure the length. You weigh a coil.
Yes.
You check the diameter,
yes,
and it tells you for a coil of a certain weight and a certain diameter of a certain type of rope how much it's going to cost.
Brilliant.